Here's a question. Why can't folks just take the note when it comes to, hey, Kimmy, when it comes to communication? I'll give an example. If someone says, please don't say relax or chill to me, like use a softer method to try and get your achieved goal. Why is there then a bounce back to say, well, consider where it's coming from? What is that about? Why do we try so hard to protect language that doesn't really matter to the person? Like, it doesn't matter to you, but someone is saying it matters to them. So why are we protecting our space to say that language instead of simply just listening to what the other person has expressed and then challenging ourselves to find another way to express that? I had someone on my Instagram today tell me, be careful, sis. And I said to them, you know, please don't say that to me because it really comes off as don't tell the truth because truth tellers get hurt. And what I would prefer is if you would respond by what I would prefer is if you would actually verbalize lifting me, choosing to be in care, and saying, we will keep you covered. That would be more useful for both of us. This person then went on to defend why I got it wrong when they said, be careful, sis. It doesn't matter if I got it wrong because whatever language you used was not clear enough. And in a world where we are doing so much engagement without the use of tone, about sight, etc., our language and our words ends up being really important. And we have to have a certain level of space and grace for others, but also for ourselves, right? So, like, the grace I'm extending is that, like, you didn't know that that was something I don't like, so I'm sharing it with you versus just skipping over that part and being like, fuck you, right? So, you as the receiver can have the space and grace to say, you know what? I didn't know. And now I do. Thank you. Because now I can course correct. And these are the types of things that really determine who gets to be in my space at what levels. I think it's really dope when people will say to me like, "Oh, I didn't like that and and I would prefer." And then I'm like, "Got it." And vice versa. And when that is overlooked or when there is a need to defend language that, by the way, um, hasn't even been prescribed in a character definition, right? So it's not like I have said to the person, like, now I look at you this way and I think you're this kind of person. I'm simply saying that this method of communication with me is not effective. It's not indicative of softness or it's not high vibrational. These are the types of things. And I've had to learn how to use this language because when you are battling the world all the damn time, you end up possibly taking that into your spaces, right? So the best way in your spaces to like, well, for me, the best way in my spaces to operate is to be verbal about what makes me uncomfortable versus being reactionary about what makes me uncomfortable. And I wish that we could be better about that. And I'm working on it too. I wish we could take ourselves out of the equation. I had a scenario yesterday where I had to check myself Someone had left a comment under one of my YouTube videos saying, when you talk at full volume into the mic, it makes it difficult for um us with sensory sensitivity to listen, and we really want to listen. And like my immediate response was to feel like, oh, here's somebody critiquing me. Ugh, another person critiquing me. And I replied, I'm doing my best. And then I had to sit with it for 5 minutes and erase that because they weren't saying you weren't doing your best. And they're not critiquing you. They're actually just sharing with you that this thing you're doing is making it difficult for them to engage. But it's not like a shitty thing. It's just a real thing. It's a real thing. Like, you're talking loud. They have sensory sensitivity. Now so you can adjust or not. And I had to do a self-check because I was being corny. Like, I was being corny. Like, there was nothing in their writing that left anything to question if it was coming from a snide or sarcastic place. But so often that is the case. And so I have a natural kind of sensitivity to that in the internet space. And to be fair, I don't think that that's not practical. However, sometimes it's being applied incorrectly. And I felt like that was one of those times where it was being applied incorrectly and I had to check myself. So I just wanted to throw it out there that like it just shouldn't be so difficult to receive that someone is telling you that you've made a mistake, um, and now they've given you the tool to course correct, and that is not in any way a real reflection of your character. The reflection of your character is in what you do with the information now provided to you. Do you use it as course correction, or do you use it as now a litigation point to defend yourself? Like, I grew up in a home where I was defending myself all the time. Then I would go visit my dad, and he was always accusing me of lying. I'm not a liar. I was not a liar as a child. I'm not a liar as an adult. So I was always defending myself all the time, right? I've always been I've always had to convince and prove. So that's just a part of my experience on this land, right? Um and what's been really beautiful is entering into spaces of adult friendships and entering into spaces professionally where that really is not expected of me. So getting to work with folks that lead more from a socialist community standpoint has been really healing, because it's like the first time in my life where I don't feel like I'm having to defend the existence of my existence or convince or prove. Like, I distinctly remember doing this show on MTV called Hip Hop POV. At the time, my name was Amanda Diva. And the executive producer called me the night before and said, the night before we were shooting, and said, your job is to come in here and show them that you're not a diva. I was like, that's not why is that no, my job is to come in and know about hip hop and interview rappers. That's my job. And she was like, well, you having the name Amanda Diva has really distorted people's view of you and has really made for this pretense about who you are before you even show up. So this whole Amanda Seales is difficult thing really comes back all the way back to my name was Amanda Diva. So it was just decided that with the name Diva, you're difficult. Mind you, I come from theater. diva is a positive connotation for the person who is like that girl on the stage. Maria Callas, honey. Jesse Norman, honey. Audra McDonald, honey. Yeah, exactly. These are the divas. Okay. So when I was in like the hip hop space, diva was considered like this negative thing that was indicative of you ask for too much, you're demanding, you're overconfident, etc. Things that are really honestly not associated with me. I don't ask for too much. I ask for what I deserve. I ask for what I've agreed to. Actually, let's take it even. I ask for what I've agreed to. People are mad about you for doing that. So I take it all the way back to that instance, which was in 2012, because I just remember the feeling that I had while I was standing in my little ass kitchen in Harlem on the hill and listening to this woman literally tell me that part of my job description was going to be to disprove an irrational fear that people have about me that I haven't indicated or presented to them. The same thing happened when I was on The Real. I had the executive producer and the network head, not head, but the network person come into my dressing room and tell me that my job was to make the women on the panel not be scared because they had PTSD from Tamar. And I was like, what the hell does that got to do with me? Tamar, this isn't even the same situation. They started the show with Tamar. This was 6 years ago. I'm confused as to why I am now burdened with curbing their irrational fear that I have not in any way exacerbated. And they said, well, it just is what it is. So the reason I bring this up is because I feel like when you are constantly tasked with other people's emotional lift, it's really exhausting, right? So when people do the thing of like, well, I know I said this, but you should know that but next time consider what I mean. I feel like if I say that when you say this thing right here, when you say this thing right here, I don't like it. It doesn't matter what you mean. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. It doesn't matter what your intention is. This thing right here, these words mean something to me in a way that is bigger than you. And you asking me to contextualize them solely attached to you is not really practical or fair. Stop telling people or stop telling this person, me, this thing. Don't tell me to relax. Don't tell me to chill. Don't tell me be careful. This is language I don't like. And if we're honest, I think all of us can say to ourselves, like, what are some phrases or what are some words that we just don't it doesn't it just hits our sensory in a disordinate way, right? Like I don't want to say triggering because I think that's really excessive in this instance, but it just like it gets our goat. It gets our goat. Like what would you guys say? I have to go get the cat from outside. So while I do that, what would you guys say are some words or phrases that just rub you the wrong way? And that, you will tell people like, yeah, I just kind of don't like that. I'll be right back. I feel you, Gia. Kimberly said, I cannot stand when people tell me to calm down. Fighting words. Gia said, when people say I'm sensitive. Ooh, I hear you on that one. Watch your tone. That gets you. I feel you on that. Why is the okay. Um, don't be emotional. Ooh. Just asked my roommate, said, do we need anything for my son's school? You said don't use we. Yeah, I know the world sucks right now, but what can we do is a phase that irks the shit out of me. You can't go there by yourself. You can't do that by yourself. Now see, that's one that I haven't even that wouldn't affect me. But it affects you. So I can just be like, "Oh, all right, what would you prefer me to say?" Or let's or I or even that cuz I don't want to task you. I will come up with like some other options. Okay, what if I say, "You think you'll need help with that?" Does that irk you? Like that's what I would do. I would make it more of a like a riddle. Riddle me this. Does this work? Like if someone says to me, um, relax. I'm going to say, I really would prefer that you do not use that and you find a softer way of getting your point across. Look at that. Bonzi said that response would be fine. So, because I do think that there is an interpersonal connection that has to grow with people that are in your circle, right? Where like they aren't simply just like given everything. Like I think that there's something beautiful about like, no, I've given you the task of like figuring out a better way to say that. Now, you can be in party with that. If someone says to me, okay, if I can't say relax, can I say like what I don't know, whatever. You see why I'm not even trying to come up with something? Because it's not my it should I don't think it should be my burden to come up with it. Some people would think it would. Some people would say, "Well, if you're the one who doesn't like it, then you need to give them the other options." And I'm just like, "Why? Why do we got why? You cannot go outside. Absolutely not. Cuz you like to run and go all over the place. So no, you can't go outside. No, because he likes to escape. That's Mando. You know who was outside before? Our girl Jedi was outside chilling. Jedi was outside chilling because she's not going to figure out how to leap over a banister and then jump onto a ledge that's this big so that she can just get out, so that she can just do the same thing she does every time, which is go hide under the shed and start meowing. We're not going through that. Exactly, Stephanie. Jedi's seen some things. She's good. Y'all, Jedi spent 3 days outside earlier this year. She's like, "No, ma'am. I don't need to go. I don't need all that adventure in my life. I don't need it. I don't need it." But this one, Mando, every other day he finds a way to escape. And then you actually do take him outside and he be looking at you sideways. Like, what do we do now? So I'm like, listen, we got to figure out a happy medium. And I can't build a catio here. So what are we doing? Hi. You wanna come say hi to these people? No? Fine. This is the culprit. This is Mando. I've been trying to harness train him. Struggles. But I've been trying, and it's actually been a really nice kind of, like, bonding experience to just be outside with Mando together because Mando is the one I bonded with the least out of all my cats because he's the least affectionate in terms of his like all my other cats will like come and be like I'm spending time with you. He only does that when I'm asleep. And I'll wake up in the middle of the night and Mando's like, I love you. Whereas like Jedi will come over, his sister will come over and be like, pet me, pet me. So, anyways, community building is a multi-level thing. It's emotional, it's physical, it's economical, it's mental. It's a lot of O's. And it takes effort. And one of the efforts I find that I'm having to deploy is also knowing when to put in the effort and who to put the effort in with. And one of the biggest, easiest ways that I've found to know where the boundary goes is actually, so here's a good analogy. So I got this like remote sensor thing for Jordy for my dog, and it has the collar, and like if he goes too far, it'll like it just gives him a little but when you're testing out the boundary, it has like a little key thing that you hold to it. And so as you're walking, it'll let you know where the boundary is. And you'll be like, "Oh, this is the boundary." And you can either extend it or nah. But it lets you know this is the boundary. That is what it is to me when yes, Daunting Dawn. That is what it is to me when I share with someone either something vulnerable or a very direct, like explicit thing that is problematic to me. This is Sankara, who always feels the need to like protest. Oh my gosh. Which makes sense because she's named after Thomas Sankara. How are you? How are you, my girl? So that's what it feels like when people want to defend themselves against me saying, "Hey, I don't like that." Why are you defending yourself? That's the boundary. That's the boundary. Another thing about boundaries that I've had to learn is that sometimes people are telling you that they don't want your help or they don't want you because not because you're valuable. Sometimes, I mean, regardless, leave them alone. But sometimes the reason is because they know their limitations. I am somebody who in the past has ignored when people are like, no, like, I don't think this is good. I don't think this is good. And I'm like, but, and then I want to have like a conversation. Why? If they are telling you it's not good for them, like the relationship or an interaction, believe it. There's a brother around my way who clearly has a mental um impairment, a mental health impairment. And he's obviously living outside. And I had pulled up one day because I see him all the time. So I pulled up one day and was like, "Hey, do you need anything?" And he was like, "Why are you talking to me?" I said, "Because I see you here all the time. I just want to know if you need anything, food or blankets or anything." He was like, "Leave me alone." And I was like, "Okay, are you sure?" And he's like, "There's nothing. Leave me alone. Leave me alone." Now, there's a large part of me that wants to be like, he's crying out for help. He's I'm gonna show him. I'm not gonna leave him alone. I'm gonna support him. Like this is the psychosis. And then I had to say to myself, if that nigga said leave him alone, girl, leave him alone. Because you know what? He might be saying, leave me alone because I know my limitations and I might kill you. And I can't trust that I won't. So I'm gonna do this to get you to back up. I saw him today, and guess what I did, y'all? What did I do? I left him alone. I said, skirt, skirt. That's right, Gia. You got it. No problem, brother. Live long and prosper. So, yes, Kim, believe them. So, anywho, uh, glad to see that I'm not bugging and that at least my ethically roots crew slash SEAL squad understands where I'm coming from. And if you don't understand where I'm coming from, I hope that you'll at least consider thinking about it because I think it's a part of the necessity to undo the lack of empathy that we have been really raised in this country, the lack of community, the real centering around individualism, the narcissism of this culture, right? The United States culture is a narcissist culture. It's one that centers yourself before anybody else. It's one that says, my feelings are more important than anybody else's feelings. And the truth of the matter is that a lot of times people are assigning feelings that they don't even have just because you're having feelings. If I say that I don't like something that you've said to me, your feelings about that are not about the thing you've said. Your feelings are about the fact that I told you I don't like something that you did. And now you feel some type of way about it. That's what your feelings is about. My feelings are about the thing. So let's stay focused on the thing and let's not detract to this other direction. Thank y'all. And yeah, I'm gonna go right. Ba-dum-bum.